soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. That will take us away from being even a great power.
Since the fall of Soviet Russia, the United States has been on the top of the international stage. We're the military, economic juggernaut of the world, so much so that the entire international economy runs on the dollar. And we've been doing everything to protect that.
Is the U.S. dollar about to collapse? The biggest concern is that foreigners are ditching the dollar because of two reasons. Number one, historic inflation by the Fed and by Wall Street. Number two, the Biden administration has weaponized the dollar, especially by seizing Russian central bank dollars. They were hoping to spark a bank run, but it backfired. Now, there are a lot of countries all over the world that are worried that they can't rely on the dollar and they can't rely on the United States, that we could grab their dollars, crash their economy anytime we don't like what they're doing. Now, dozens of countries are talking about replacing the U.S. and replacing the U.S. dollar, either with a China-led group called BRICS. If foreigners start selling trillions of dollars, the inflation and the hit on our already teetering banks would be like nothing we have ever seen.
Here's why so many countries are abandoning the dollar. In recent days, 6 major economies have announced they're no longer trading in the US dollar, using their own currencies instead. These are Russia, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and India. For some of these countries, it's political. Russia has largely been forced out of the global economy and has been relying heavily on Chinese currency. And China would love any opportunity to weaken the US hold on the economy. Likewise, Iran is heavily sanctioned by the US, but what about the others? Brazil's new left-wing leader, President Lula, has been moving his country away from the US, but Saudi Arabia and India are both close allies. However, that doesn't mean they're immune to self-interest. The US dollar has been devalued a lot recently due to inflation and the lack of a stabilizing factor like the gold standard. But what does it mean in the long run? It means that if this trend continues, the US dollar will just be one of many currencies jockeying for prominence. But currently, it's still the strongest one overall.
So Russia announced it will conduct business in Asia, Africa, and Latin America in Chinese currency. Brazil, which has a brand new government supported by the Biden administration, announced it will do the same thing. Brazil, largest economy in the hemisphere after ours. Pakistan is doing the same thing. That's a longtime U.S. ally. India and Malaysia, two of the biggest economies in the world, announced they'll be settling their trade in their own currencies, not the dollar. Even France, which we liberated, is using Chinese currency in a new liquefied natural gas trade. China and Saudi Arabia are now major business partners. And again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening around the world, and all of it is shutting out the US dollar. And it's happening a lot faster than anybody could have predicted. And yet no one in Washington seems aware that it is happening. So Russia announced it will conduct business in Asia, Africa, and Latin America in Chinese currency. Brazil, which has a brand new government supported by the Biden administration, announced it will do the same thing. Brazil, largest economy in the hemisphere after ours. Pakistan is doing the same thing. That's a longtime U.S. ally. India and Malaysia, two of the biggest economies in the world, announced they'll be settling their trade in their own currencies, not the dollar. Even France, which we liberated, is using Chinese currency in a new liquefied natural gas trade. China and Saudi Arabia are now major business partners. And again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening around the world, and all of it is shutting out the US dollar. And it's happening a lot faster than anybody could have predicted. And yet no one in Washington seems aware that it is happening. So
You ever wonder what would happen if the US dollar, one of the world's leading currencies, suddenly became totally worthless? In short, the entire US economy would immediately collapse, causing chaos not only for the US, but the entire global economy. Investors would immediately scramble for alternatives such as the euro or pound sterling, or assets like gold and commodities. And then even worse things would happen for the US. The price of imports would skyrocket, leading to inflation, and US exports would become dirt cheap. Recession or total depression economically would likely follow. Much like we've seen in countries with hyperinflation like Zimbabwe and Venezuela, people would need to carry around wheelbarrows of cash for basic goods and services. They might even weigh the stacks of money rather than counting it. So let's just hope it doesn't happen anytime soon. You ever wonder what would happen if the